Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
Gimmick Puppets, the #1 deck in Duel Links, for having the most fitting name. Yes, unfortunately after the release of the latest box, Arts of Atlantis, giving us a bunch of new Gimmick Puppet support, the deck as it stands still seems like a giant gimmick. To be fair, I don't think the deck is that bad, and would probably have a decent shot at being competitively viable, if the meta wasn't made up of a bunch of decks like Thunder Dragon that have been in and out of top tiers since like March of last year. Seriously, Konami, can we delete this deck now? Surely it's had enough time in the spotlight. Don't get me wrong, like I said, I don't think the deck is bad, and on ladder, it honestly just kinda slaps. It's just I was a little disappointed in the new support, as it didn't really help much with what the deck struggles with. The new support for the deck came in the form of 2 brand new spell cards, which were essentially just a Monster Reborn, and a better version of Foolish Burial, which sounds pretty damn bonkers, right? As I'm sure all you TCG players know how good those cards are, considering both of them are limited IRL. But honestly, it didn't really impact Gimmick Puppets all that much. I would say it definitely made the art type stronger, but it didn't really help with the underlying problem with the art type, which is a severe lack in proper extra deck monsters to summon on turn 1, that time with their skill Relinquished Puppet. The closest thing we've got to a turn 1 is number 68, which is an indestructible monster that gives a big ol' fuck you to any graveyard special summons. But in a game where most decks have access to either Ascend or Return to Hand removal, it's not exactly all that strong of a strategy. Compare that to if Konami decided to give us something like Lancelot, which would instantly give us a very, very solid turn 1, actually giving the art type access to a negate. That doesn't force you discard or put your 4500 attack monster in defense position. But like I said, I still think this art type is quite decent, especially if you're just trying to grind through ranks. And after messing around with the new cards, I can confidently say that if you're already having access to the vast majority of the Gimmick Puppet stuff from the previous boxes, and are interested in making your deck stronger, I'll definitely say it's worth grabbing a couple of copies of the new support for the archetype. So here's my deck list. Now just before I get into the list, just a friendly reminder that if you enjoy any of the content you are watching or find any of the content useful, to please leave a like on the video down below and consider subscribing whilst you're down there. I'm getting pretty close to 50k now, so I'd appreciate all the subs I can get. Especially if you're one of those people who have seen multiple of my videos now and still haven't subbed yet, as my analytics tell me there are a bunch of you. So please consider finally giving me a sub. Alright, so the decklist portion of this video is going to be rather short, as to be honest, there is basically nothing new in this list to go through outside the 2 new spell cards. Condolence Puppet is definitely the better of the 2 new support cards we've been given. Send Gimmick Puppet monsters with different names from your deck to the graveyard up to the number of monsters your opponent controls that will special summon from the extra deck, +1. This +1 means you can use this card on turn 1 and it will still send a monster. You can banish this card from your graveyard and target 1 machine Xyz monster you control. It cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects while face up on the field. You can only use each effect of Condolence Puppet once per turn. So basically a better Foolish Burial that can send multiple cards that offers one of your boss monsters permanent protection from destruction effects. There are multiple reasons why running a Foolish Burial in this deck is amazing. We are running both Disc and Baby. Disc, when in the grave, can be banished to prevent any of your Gimmick Puppet monsters from being targeted by card effects for the turn. So basically granting them immunity to cards like Slash, Tretch, Book of Moon, Gaia, etc. And Baby when banished stops your opponent being able to respond to your Gimmick Puppet effect activations, so cards like Bowser or Avatar will no longer be an issue. It also means you can put Gear Changer in the grave as a target when normal summoning Baby, so you can easily make rank 4s or rank 8s, and it gives you more options for cards to banish to summon your Dreary from the graveyard. The other new supporting card is Junk Puppet. Target 1 Gimmick Puppet monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only activate 1 Junk Puppet per turn. Now this card is extremely self-explanatory. It just lets you Xyz summon more often, as you can just recycle more monsters from your graveyard, but the other major benefit I've noticed from this card is that it significantly increases the amount of times I could activate the deck's Pot of Greed, Advanced Draw, since I could just bring back the monster I was sending to the grave. Alright guys, that's going to be it for the decklist portion of the video. The rest of the video will be gameplay with commentary showcasing the combos in action. Remember, if you are enjoying this video or find any of the content useful, to please leave a like on the video down below and subscribe to the channel whilst you're down there. Enjoy the gameplay. Alright, so let's get into it. So this deck list went 7 wins and 3 losses, which is not bad. Gave me a rank up to Legend 2, and yeah, I'd say if I wanted to continue with this deck, I could definitely climb pretty solidly with it. Obviously, I don't think this deck is anything too insane or amazing. Like, I wouldn't put this above like Onomats or something, but obviously, it's not a terrible deck list, so yeah, it did alright. Alright, let's get into the gameplays. Alright, thankfully today we actually got a nice variety in gameplays, as opposed to the last video where everyone was just playing Blue Eyes, so hopefully you get to enjoy them a little bit more. Alright, so this was against an Onomat player, as you probably could have guessed from. Yeah. Oh, he was playing a very unconventional Onomat list, let's just say that. It's one of the few times you'll get to see the Utopia animation. Yeah, not really sure what this guy was going for. Summoning Utopia turn 1 is not a viable strat. But he had one back row card, you know. Alright, so first thing we do, obviously activate the skill, sending Duel, as you do literally every game. There's like, unless you start with Duel in your opening hand, you're always sending this card with your skill. Very few times you won't. I tried to activate a monster effect to special summon stuff from hand, he just negates that shit. But that doesn't stop us there, so we can use Junk Puppet to bring this card back instead, even though we had nothing in the grave to use with it. We're then going to activate our advanced draw to draw a couple of cards. We hit our Condolence Puppet so we can send more stuff to the grave. This gives us more options to special summon with Terror Baby. Bring back level 8, and we use the 2 rank level 4s on board to summon our Malevolent Sin. This can then banish the Utopia. Our Dreary dog can then banish this dude, and yeah, we're going to make a rank 8. He was very, very dead. Alright, next game. This was another Onomat player. This was the only archetype that repeated that we played against. There was no other Onomat lists after this one. Alright, here to end this man's win streak. So we're going first this time. But obviously, like I said, if we open it in hand, we have to send something else to the grave, so we send Duel, because this Duel is obviously really good against targeting effects for later on, in case next turn he has like a Fiendish Chain again or something, we could actually use this so he can't target it. Activating Destroy to special summon our boy from hand, advanced draw, obviously drawing a couple of cards, resummoning the Duel, and I think, yeah, I just passed the turn from here. Because like I said, there isn't, like I said in the the decklist portion of the video, or the start of the video whenever I said it, there isn't a whole lot of extra stuff that's useful to summon. You can summon this card turn 1, which is kind of good against a lot of decks, especially stuff like Resonator that rely on graveyard summons, but it's only immune to destruction effects, so against Onomat it's just useless. They'll just summon Baby, summon level 4, make level 6, return it to hand, and then I'll just die. So there's like nothing to summon here, there's 0 point. So even if I could summon something else, I wouldn't. Although I don't think I had any other... Yeah, I could have used Junk Puppet to summon one back, but there's literally no point in making anything here. Plus I couldn't even make it here anyway, because... yeah, this card can only be used to make Gimmick Puppet monsters from the extra deck, so I'd have to make even worse. I'd have to make like this thing first, or this thing, which is like actually useless. So I'm just going to set this card and hope the back row, the one enemy controller, can protect me. Which thankfully, it did. Obviously, the reason we set this card was for in case he had MST, which he did, so we baited him, he hit the MST and not the Econ, which was nice. Yeah, so stuff that we already expected. We're going to summon Sister, add level, well, add a wind. Summon the coat. Make the level 6. Which, like I said, if I had the other rank out, he would return to hand. We're going to Econ take that immediately. He was scared of the back row, which is why he added wind. Wind is then going to special summon 2 monsters, or 1 monster, special summon the other. But he's not going to Malevolent Sin his own monster, so he just lets it go back again. And then from here, very easy play we can make. Summon a rank 8, summon the other level 8, get out our Grinder, and Grinder by himself here just wins the game. Because against Xyz's decks, Grinder is fantastic. This thing burns for a fuck ton of damage. We can make other cards too, but it was already over. Alright. Next duel. Alright. So I assume this is a Harpy player? I didn't actually remember. Yep, it's a fairly standard Harpy opening. He's just gonna end on Slash, and that's about it. Actually, this might have been the Book of Moon guy. Oh, it was. Alright, so you probably always saw this from the intro, but we're gonna activate our Condolence Puppet, sending ourselves a Duel. But obviously, I misplayed a bit here, because he's got an extra deck monster on board, so I could have sent 2 cards, and you'll see it cost me a little bit here, but yeah, I sent only 1 by accident. Doesn't really matter, we sent the card we meant to send, so we sent the Bisque. Activate its effect, you can now no longer target my Relinquished Puppet monsters. Oh, Gimmick Puppet monsters, sorry. Destroy, special summon the 2 monsters. Activate the Duel, special summon that. We're going to advance draw, making sure to use it on the Duel, purely because this Duel can only be used with Gimmick Puppet stuff, and the other stuff can't, so it's always better to send the Duel. Gear Changer, make a level 8. He tries to Book of Moon here. Very big brain player here. Then activates the Harpy effect, and obviously you can't target my monster with any of that, so he just ends up sending his own monster. Luckily for him though, because he did that, it meant I couldn't have activated my Strings effect to send this level 1 to the grave, which I was going to do, because then I could have summoned Terror Baby, special summon it back, make the rank 4, steal his Harpy, do other stuff, but... So maybe it was the correct play to send his monster, I don't know. But yeah, this also means that, obviously, the Condolence Puppet turn 1, where we only sent 1 monster, was a mistake, because if we actually sent another level 4, we could have used it with Terror Baby just then, instead of relying on having to send this to the grave with this dude's effect. Either way, this game was over. This poor guy. We even had the Book of Moon set to protect ourselves. Alright, next one. Oh yeah, this is a poor guy trying to use the Chronomoy stuff, I think. But yeah, don't play Chronomoy. It's not a great archetype. Oh no, it wasn't Chronomoy, sorry. That was the it's another replay that I didn't end up saving. Alright, so I was playing Evil Eye, and thankfully he didn't start with the annoying Evil Eye card that makes his stuff, you know, not targetable, because that would have been basically game winning for him, so thankfully he didn't open it. So he's going to equip his Gorginio and set 1 trap card. Now I know that the main trap card in Evil Eye is the return multiple to hand based on, or destroy, it's one of the 2, based on having an Evil Eye Celine on board. So I'm going to immediately send this thing to the grave instead of the normal card we send, instead of Dreary, just because if I banish this card, he can't activate that trap card, and the game will basically win from there. I don't need any other special summons, I've got enough in hand, so... Advanced draw, drawing a couple of cards, normal summoning Terror Baby, bring back the other level 4. Obviously he's just going to banish it with his card's effect, so we didn't care about this though, we've already got enough on board for our effects. Basically doing this first, trying to summon this thing first, baited him into banishing that card, which we didn't need anyway, because we're going to use Junk Puppet on one of level 8s anyway. Like, we didn't need it. So we're going to take control both monsters, tribute it, make them both level 8, make our Puppet on strings, special summon out the 1000 attack monster, and yeah, lethal on board. Easiest bait of my life. Alright, and the final gameplay. no idea this guy was playing. Is it Thunder Dragon? Maybe? Oh no, this is the Magnet guy. Alright. So we got a nice bait off here too. This is pretty good. Alright. So once again, setting Dreary. Gonna destroy. We don't give much of a fuck about his back row here, as it's most likely just going to be like a powerful rebirth or something like that, something that doesn't interact with us specifically, so we don't care too much about it. If it was a treacherous, we probably would have lost the game, because we didn't get our non-targeting thing, but thankfully we're pretty certain this card is not going to interact with us. Alright, can make our Sky Prison, just so we can threaten our opponent not to be able to special summon anymore, as you'll see later on. Terra Baby, being at level 4, make Malevolent Sin. I'm going to target his monster. In response, he used his Super Team Buddy Force Unite, which can interestingly target my monster because it's also a rock, but yeah. Brings out the guy, adds his Electromagnet Warrior to hand. I'm going to special summon the Dreary doll, and then to finish the turn, we activate this guy's effect so we can no longer special summon from grave during his turn or destroy this guy. But as you'll see, this is when we do some, we keep the Econ in hand. Because our only issue here is this card can swap itself out. So if we try to activate Econ now, he'll swap it out, bring out level 4, and then we won't have lethal on board. But if we make him swap out beforehand, by threatening to swing into it, he brings out the level 4, we activate Econ in response, tribute our Dreary, take his monster, and we have lethal on board. Easy clap. Alright guys, that'll be it for today's replays. I hope you guys enjoyed them. If you did, make sure to leave a like down below, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.